Our team, our community. This is Condors Town, and this is another Energy Condors connection. Now, here's Erik Fox and Ryan Holt.
Man, this is not the broadcast I wanted already, but welcome to it. My name is Erik Fox from Energy 95.3. Other side of the split screen, Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors. How you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm good. We're back in Condors Town. So obviously not the result we were looking for up in Abbotsford, but still a great season nonetheless.
We were hoping that this would be the broadcast where we talk about round 2 of the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Condors are not in the playoffs moving forward. We'll talk about that in a moment. We always talk about the parent organization as well, and they are still in it and taking on the Kings, a series in which we kind of thought was going to be a little more lopsided than it is. What are you seeing up there as the 3-2 lead versus the Kings right now?
Yeah, I think I said it to someone the other day. I think the Kings have won the luck factor. I think over the first whatever it's been 5 games of the series. I really think that the Oilers have controlled things 5-on-5. Their power play has obviously won them a couple of games too. But I go back to the Kings tying it up in game 1. I mean, I kind of think it should be 4-1 already. For the Oilers, you could say that the Oilers fell behind 3-0 the other night and came back and won, and that's lucky. But the Oilers are going to score 4 goals a night, so I don't think getting up 3-0 on them is anything to worry about. I guess I don't think you want to, but I think they've been the better team. I think Korpisalo has played above what he is, and I think the last game you saw a little chink in the armor there. So. We'll see what happens on Saturday. I still like the Oilers. It's a longer series than I think I thought it should be. The overtime. I mean, even throwing the Kings overtime goal the other night, which was controversial too. It seems like every 50-50 call or controversy has kind of gone the Kings' way here for the first 5 games, and that tends to even out over the course of things. So. The good news is at least Vegas has to go 5 games, so we'll see what they can do tonight. Hopefully Winnipeg maybe wins that one and extends that series, so everyone's kind of on the same rest schedule. But I've liked the way the Oilers have played, and I, to be honest with you, I don't even think McDavid's played that well. So I think there's another layer there. So
Condors alum Skinner's definitely been stepping up in the pipes, though.
Yeah, and it was big for him to respond. I knew that Jay and the crew would go back with Stu. He's been their horse this year, and great to see him have a good game the other night. Again, he doesn't have to win hockey games for them. He just has to keep the ship going in the right direction, and he's been good. I think Evan Bouchard has been outstanding this year, and I'm so happy because. Bush was a guy who, and again, he's only 20. I think he's 22. Maybe he's 22. He might even still be 21. He's a guy who, they kind of talked about, is he ever going to develop into something? Like, just give it time, especially defensemen. Like, until you get to, 200 games in the NHL, like, let's see what you have first. And the Barrie trade obviously opened up Bouchard's opportunities, and now the playoffs have been great for him. Ryan McLeod is doing what Ryan McLeod did in 2021 here in Bakersfield, and that's dominate every time he's on the ice. So you've seen a lot of Condors alums, and before the end of this thing is over, you're probably going to see some more Condors alums come to the forefront here.
It's going to be interesting to watch. Hopefully they'll wrap up the series, but if not, they still got 2 chances to get that series locked in. So it's going to be a fun one to watch. Let's unfortunately talk about the other side of the coin. Kind of don't want to talk about, but let's talk about it. Last week, round 1 of the Calder Cup playoffs happened in Abbotsford. Not the way we wanted to go, though, right?
No. I think the second game was more indicative of the type of team that the Condors are. I mean, it's a 2-2 game with 11 minutes left. You give us that opportunity before the game started, and you take it and run with it probably. Abbotsford was as loaded as they could be. The Condors were fairly loaded. I think it was 2 really good teams. I said this before. I think, whoever comes out of the Pacific ends up representing the Western Conference in the Calder Cup final and probably wins the thing. I think that is the case. I truly do. And I think the Pacific has been the toughest division all year long. It's had the toughest teams at the top. It's had probably the best, kind of middle sector teams as well too. Maybe not as much on the bottom end, but I think in terms of, I said it before, the top 5 teams, I would have given a stone's throw to win the Calder Cup for any of those 5 teams. And much like in the NHL, Tampa or Toronto are 2 of the top, whatever they are, 4 teams in the league, and one of them is not getting out of the first round. And it'll be a disappointment and people will be upset. And, but I think when you look at it as a whole, it's just the way things are structured right now. You could have put in all those 5 teams in other divisions and put them in different matchups. They probably all 5 win their opening matchup. So, it was a great game too. I thought, there was a 5 to 6 minute blunder in the opening game on that Wednesday that kind of let Abbotsford take over, and then they had the advantage going into game 2, and were able to play a little looser, and the Condors just couldn't find that tying goal late. Had plenty of chances to do so, but I think on the whole, I think it's a great season. It's 10 straight wins to end the year at home. Great to see the crowds back as well too this year. 23 home wins this year was a team record. So I think there's a lot of positives from this year. And having Desharnais go up and play as well as he has for the Oilers is a huge success story for this team, and something that we'll celebrate going into the next couple of weeks as the Oilers look for a cup.
Before we talk about the next moves for the Condors, let's look into the Ryan tea leaves. Who do you think is going to hoist the cup at the end?
The Calder Cup?
Yeah.
I'll go Calgary just because it's the easiest pick. I do think in Colorado lost game 1 last night. I think Colorado ends up beating Coachella Valley. I don't know if Colorado has enough scoring, but I was kind of surprised, honestly, to see Coachella Valley, put up 6 on them. Especially in a game 1 against them, on the ranch. That's usually a game that Colorado handles. So a little bit of a mild upset, I think, last night with Coachella Valley, but I still like Colorado on the whole overall in that series. I do like Calgary to get past Abbotsford, and I'll take Calgary maybe over Providence. Providence has been very good on the eastern side. So, but yeah, Calgary is, they got the best goaltender in the league. Usually that breeds success, and they have a great balance. They got Phillips and Peltier, and they run around and put up 5 points a night. So they're a tough team to play, and they're kind of cocky too, right? They gave up home ice advantage so that they could start at home. So like they know they have to win a game in a road building to advance, which has been done before. Not saying teams haven't picked the 2 at home option before, but kind of a little bit of a cocky move, but I respect it. They're good. They know they're good, and they're going to prove why they're good. But whoever comes out of that Calgary Abbotsford series trounces the other side.
Gotcha.
In Colorado or Coachella Valley for sure.
Let's go and jump into talking about next steps. Obviously, we're leaving season 25, getting prepared for season 26.
Yeah. Silver Plus. That's what we like to call it. Silver Plus.
Silver Plus. There we go. Until the 50th, and we can finally call it gold. 24 years of Silver Plus. We'll go through all the anniversaries. One of these days is going to be 10.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. Anyways, let's talk about outlook for the offseason. Of course, we're talking possible moves, possible new signings, possible looking once again at the Ryan tea leaves. What are you seeing as the outlook for the offseason?
Yeah, so 7 or 8 guys will go to Edmonton. Some are already up there. Calvin Pickard and Marcus Niemelainen and Dylan Holloway, Ollie Rodrigue, Brad Malone. There'll be other ones too. Cam Deneen. And there'll be some other ones too, I think, maybe over the next week or so. To kind of be the guys in the stable should, stuff happen with the Oilers, and they need players, and you need guys to stay fresh, right? You can't just have guys go home and say, all right, see you for the summer, and then all of a sudden, hey, we got 5 injuries, we might need you.
Right.
So it's really not that far-fetched that what quote unquote black ace gets in the lineup. It happened twice last year with Holloway and Malone both getting in. This year's a little different. The Oilers have some extra bodies, but not many extra bodies. So hopefully everyone stays healthy, but it gives, the coaching staff another option maybe they want speed, or maybe they want some element that somebody brings, from a Condor side. So we'll see what happens with that. Obviously can't be NHL signings until July, so we're kind of in a holding pattern there. But some AHL signings will start trickling in. We signed Ethan Young out of Quinnipiac. He just won a national title with them, so he'll join the fold next year. Alex Peters re-signed. He had a great year on the blue line for us this year. So you'll see some AHL signings here in the next couple of weeks. But for the most part, it's cheering on the Oilers and kind of following along with their run until that goes, and then obviously July and the draft and free agency kind of picks up then. So plans are underway for next year, but for the most part, for right now, it's kind of tying a bow on this year, getting all our ducks in order, and then once we kind of flip the calendar, we'll flip it.
What kind of holes do you think are needing really the most microscopic look at?
Yeah, I think the good news is, obviously we know Calvin Pickard's back in the organization, and that's huge. Anytime that an elite goaltender is back in the fold, it's huge. Cam Dineen signed an NHL deal earlier this March, so he'll be looked at as probably the number one team defenseman going into next year. Phil Kemp needs a new contract. I think he'll get one. He's been a mainstay on the back end and a guy you can depend on. I think up front, you're going to have some veterans that are back, like Malone and Griffith, McKegg, and then obviously Bourgault and Tullio, and those type of players kind of on the second year of their deals, looking to make an impact. We've got some guys coming in that the Oilers have drafted. Matej Petrov, he's still going in juniors right now. Jake Chason still going in juniors. So they're having good junior careers, and they're trying to win a junior title up in Canada. So wish them the best, but they'll likely be in Bakersfield next year, which is a good sign, and kind of like a Bourgault and a Tullio this year. But yeah, there's probably one or two veteran-ish spots up front open, I think, that could be an outside signing, and you bring in a guy like a Griffith, or like a McKegg. I'd envision them being on like a 2-year deal too, just because then you can kind of keep them in the fold. So we'll see what happens, but we know we got our leader between the pipes, and that's half the battle, and then you can kind of just fill in around that, and you're going to have a pretty good team.
Even though it didn't end the way we'd like, it was a fantastic 22-23 season here. And, of course, the 22-23 season with the Energy Condors connection. Always been a blast every week to get everyone caught up on everything Condors Town. And it is the wrap for the season for us. But, we'll probably check in over the summer, just kind of see how everything's going after all the signings. And I'd
love to check in from vacation. It'd be perfect.
Well, we'll find a poolside somewhere for you, Ryan, to be checking in.
You don't have to worry about that.
And of course, we will be back next season, as always, right here, as we are your digital connection to find out what's going on in Condors Town with Ryan Holt from the Bakersfield Condors, myself, Erik Fox from Energy 95.3. Hope everyone has a fantastic off season, and we'll keep doing this thing because what else are we going to do in our offices right now?
Exactly.
This has been another edition of your Energy Condors connection with your Bakersfield Condors and Energy 95.3. We'll see you next.